Hi, my name is Siv. We're surrounded by problems, both inside and out, because man has the different faces within. We never know what we actually want. We're tempted for more and crave for more. This temptation and this craving is like a wild horse. Like those horses, they must be managed and be under control. These temptations and cravings just a part of darkness and desires of a man's heart. Now, everyone has a different viewpoint, and I'm going to see through them all.
Than my peers. Bhaskar, a senior student and a great friend. He has a different viewpoint than I ever thought. Alright, so I'd like to ask you, as a student, what's your standpoint on restrictions, or in simpler term, law, that we're supposed to follow?
They're pretty pointed, the laws. Because, we as humans tend to do whatever we want. We are like really violent. And especially in my age, teenagers, we think we know everything and tend to do some stupid stuff. So they are important and we need to follow them. So that we don't hurt each other.
Yeah, that's so. But so you're saying restrictions are good, but perhaps are they too strict or are they like too loose and free? What do you think about it?
Well, it just depends on the law you're talking about. In general, they are kind of a mix, but they can be sometimes too strict, sometimes too loose. But I think they're good. You can improve upon them, maybe. So just but I think they're good. We don't need to change them or remove them completely. That would be horrible.
So it's unnecessary to have a strict or a stricter law.
I mean, okay, so here's the thing. If you want like stricter law, right? If you believe stricter law would help, well, look into any tyrannical country like North Korea. Stricter laws are not helping North Korea or China now, is it?
No.
But no laws aren't helping anyone, like anarchy, right? That would be countries in Africa. So we have a good mix.
Okay. Yes. So do you really think that we need to hold all the these laws that are enforced upon us? All of them? Like, what if we break one law? Like, do you think it's gonna hurt everyone?
If you make laws, you need to follow them. If you break them, you should be punished accordingly. There should be there shouldn't be like this. If you break a law and then oh well, he broke a law, like maybe we can forgive him this time. No, each and every time you need to punish them. Otherwise, no one would follow them.
Oh, okay.
Because then everyone will think that we'll just get forgive. So yeah, you need to uphold them.
Yeah. So last question. Well, let's take a scenario in the future. Let's say where there's no law, order, or restriction, any kind of thing to stopping you from what you can do. What will you see yourself as in that world?
Well, I would see that world. It wouldn't be a pretty world. People would try to kill each other. For resources and anything. I mean, even now, like with all those laws and everything, people still try to kill each other, right? For whatever reasons, maybe just to kill each other, right? So yeah, that world wouldn't be pretty, and probably be I would probably try to survive or something, you know.
Okay.
Just
So, well, do you think like that kind of world is kind of coming to reality, like it's becoming real
no.
in some places? No.
Well, I mean, it depends. Like, if you talk about places like Syria or something like war-torn places, yeah, but it will change. It won't stay like that. Plus, I mean, if you compare this world to the previous, like historical place, like history,
Yeah.
like say 200 years ago, our world is better because there are more laws,
Mm-hmm.
there are more things to restrain us from doing stupid stuff,
Yeah.
and our world is much more safer. I mean, the only reason you're taking this interview is that there are laws and there's no one coming here to kill you.
or that I would have to get a good grade if I
Yeah.
didn't get this thing. Yeah, I guess
Yeah.
in a way that restrictions does make us
I mean,
stop.
I mean,
From
they also stop, racism and everything, Otherwise, we both wouldn't be here.
Thank you. But maybe I just think different than my peers. And maybe even different if someone holds an authority or power. Let's talk with Mr. House, assistant principal of Dry High. So first of all, thanks for letting me use your time and
No problem.
so I'd like to know, that's like an assistant principal, what does law and order mean to you? In simpler terms, we could call them restrictions.
Sure.
What they mean to you, though.
Well, law and order, number one, this is an educational setting, so we're trying to teach students that there are certain rules and regulations that they have to follow. And if they don't, then there are consequences just like in real life. And so with the law and order, these policies and procedures are put in place to make sure that Troy High is a safe place for everyone so that they can get educated by their teachers. And so that's the utmost importance to all of us is safety. And so those rules and regulations and law and order, as you put it, are there to first of all protect the safety. And so that's where most of the things come in place. The other things are just educational things like making sure that the rules and regulations make sure people are building their character and building their integrity. And for instance, an example would be cheating or academic misconduct. There are rules that don't necessarily directly affect people's safety, but just teach students that those things like integrity and character and honesty and doing their own work are very important. So those are part of the educational process as well.
So in a way, law is like a molder, in a way that it shapes who we are.
Yes.
But do you think it is really necessary to have this, like, to be molded this way? Do you think it's necessary to have such law and order, like some rules here and there?
Absolutely. These have to be in place, again, to protect people, to make a safe environment. And when you have 2,000 young people in a building, they have to know how to follow certain rules so that everybody's safety is protected.
Okay. So, well, let's take a scenario, all right? Where you're in this world where there's no law and order, where like everything fell apart all of a sudden. And then, so what would you see yourself as a principal, a former principal, let's say, and as a father and a husband and all? What would you see yourself as in that world?
I would say I would try to help to bring back law and order so that everyone is safe, so that it goes back to the old saying of your rights begin where my fist ends, so to speak, so that you're not where people aren't going back to brute force and just where people's property is protected, where people's person is being protected by law and order. So I would do my best to try to bring back that system so that freedoms are protected, and you can't have freedom unless you have some type of law and order, obviously, because then brute force would come into place.
So when you say free world, it means free, but like it's like asking the same question again. But even though we're free, we tend to do stuff. Do you think like restrictions are just there to remind us that we could go, like things could go south side, or?
Yeah, those rules are put into place to protect other people's freedoms, obviously. And so, say, like I mentioned before, a speeding. The reason why there's that law in place is that so people don't drive recklessly and speed and cause other people to be put in harm's way, and maybe even putting yourself in harm's way. And so, yes, there are freedoms, but also there has to be some type of restriction there to protect other people's freedoms and also in some ways protect you from yourself.
Alright, that's it. Thanks for the interview, though.
Oh,
Those words he spoke were nothing but true. So, I decided to ask my mom the same questions because I always wondered why my mom makes me do all this and that. And don't even get me started on what not to do. And those not to do are my restrictions. So, I decided to ask her, why do you tell me not to do this and that and follow certain things? And well, she said that these restrictions, so I call, are there to regulate and direct our behavior towards a goal and being a good person. Of course, as a mother, she doesn't like to be this enforcer, but by enforcing that restriction, it becomes a habit, and you won't need any enforcement to do certain things. Now, it's more than just making a good person out of me. She also explained to me that restrictions are there in a way to help us understand our unpredictable and always evolving society, and to adapt to this society and to the community and be a part of something bigger. She once told me not to keep my phone next to my bed. I never wondered or thought about it because mom's usually right. But in one way or another, I found out why. Simon Sinek, a motivational speaker, he was explaining my scenario in a TV interview. Coincidental, huh? Well, he said that our phones are a way of temptation. It's that we're tempted to go look at our phone for whatever reasons we may have. But by removing that temptation out of the room, you have no more temptation at all. Simple as that.
Choices. Each individual have a choice or decision to make. They'll pave their way to a good future. And law or restrictions, so I call, are there as a guideline to make sure we never give in to our darkness or to stray away from our path. Maybe I'm right, maybe I'm wrong, but it's your choice to whether you're gonna cross the guideline or to follow it. And thanks for listening.